Alright, before I start this video, thank you so much for Lethal Gaming Gear for sending this out to me. Um, and use my links and codes in the description. They'll all save you money. Like and sub, comment, all of that stuff. Now, this is an interesting review for me because I have never really been a huge fan of glass mouse pads. So this was a very interesting one. The only other glass mouse pad that I've used is the SkyPad 2.0, which I did not have the best experience with in general. But I still vividly remember how that mouse pad feels. So let's get into this. This mouse pad comes in at $65. The name of it is the Project Arctica V1. And the reason I'm even making this review is because this is a little bit of a different kind of glass mouse pad. This is supposed to be a controlled glass mouse pad. And if you're wondering why I have 3 mice right here, it is because when we get to the texture aspect of this, these will come in handy. So there's only one size of this. It's 430 by 380, and there's only one color, and that is transparent. The sizing, I would like it to be a little bit, I would like to see like a Super Glide or like a SkyPad sizing, obviously, but this is only V1, so I assume they'll have more versions and bigger sizes. And transparent, I like transparent. If I was going to buy this, I would probably still buy transparent, but for a lot of people, that's not viable. If you have a glass desk, I probably would not buy this. The only reason, because it won't track properly. But for anybody that has like a wooden desk or something like that, it will work perfectly fine if you're using like a 3370, 3395, 99, whatever. So when you take this out of the box, all you have is these 4 feet you slip on, put on your table. It sticks. You're not getting this mouse pad off. It is stuck. So you don't need to worry about that. And the surface of this mouse pad is supposed to be slightly textured and controlled. Now, before I even get into this mouse pad in general, there's 3 things with glass mouse pads I'm going to talk about before, and that is glass mouse pads you cannot really compare glass mouse pads to cloth mouse pads, because what's control for a glass mouse pad is not going to be control for a cloth mouse pad. So my expectations going into this was not, QCK level slowness or GSR slowness. No, it was, if it's just less fast, less controlled, more controlled than something like a SkyPad, by a good amount. And that's kind of how you have to do things with glass mouse pads, as well as always make sure your feet are clean with glass mouse pads, or your experience will be very bad. Always make sure the mouse pad is very clean, or it will not track properly, which I initially did have a problem with, and I had to go to 2mm. Then I realized I had like a piece of dust on here, and I wiped it off, and it was perfectly fine after. And it also feels very rocky if you don't clean off the feet. So always do that. Now getting onto the texture. Also, glass mouse pads are a lot louder. The surface is slightly textured, although it is not too textured for anybody, I don't think. I would actually like to see more texture. This feels like a very, very, it's a micro texture, but a very lightly textured PBT keycap is the best way I can explain it. It is not as textured as a Razer. If any of you have a Razer mouse, it is not as textured as that, I don't think. But less. But it has that same idea. So it is not going to be overbearing for anybody. I don't think it's not really like the Hien or something like that. But also, I will get into the reason why I have these mice here, like I said before. But I'm gonna let you hear the texture, because you might actually be able to make a representation in your head, as odd as that sounds, to how this feels. Because hold on. And a mouse on it. So where I'm going with that is, if you don't live in like the north or somewhere where it's cold and you get snow, you know those really big heavy coats that when you scratch it, it makes that like that sound. Um, that's exactly how it feels. It feels just like a. That is literally exactly how it feels. If you don't live up here where it's cold, it's just a very lightly textured plastic feeling. The mouse pad obviously isn't plastic, it's tempered glass, but that is how it feels. Now, getting on to the control aspect of this. So, the best way I'm going to put this is, yeah, it is not as controlled as a most cloth mouse pads. It doesn't have as much, it has a lot less friction than still like any cloth mouse pad, but compared to like the SkyPad, it does have less friction. So it does have more friction. Sorry about that. So the overall speed of this mouse pad is still very high. You're still getting that glass feel. If you've never used if you have used a glass mouse pad, you know what I'm talking about with glass feel. It is just a very floaty, low friction feel. That's just, you get that across all of them basically. And still, the initial friction here, extremely low. It is extremely low. Maybe more than maybe more than the SkyPad. It is still very low. Dynamic friction is where it is pretty high. And with all glass pads that I've noticed, you do have a problem with moisture, with humidity. My arm does get stuck less actually on this mouse pad than the SkyPad, a lot less for whatever reason. My arm does not get stuck nearly as much as the SkyPad. I don't know if that's just maybe the time of the season that it is right now changing that, but I would just let you know that you can probably even hear it on my fingers. Hold on. My hands do stick to it. That I live in an area where it is pretty humid. You will have problems with that. That's just something that comes with a glass mouse pad. So use a hoodie. I'm not going to tell you to buy a sleeve because I think that's just really cringy, to be honest with you. I just use a hoodie or a long sleeve shirt. But yeah. Now, there are a few things here that I would like to improve. I would like to see more control, because I think that the level of control here still satisfies people that want a more controlled glass mouse pad, which is a very niche audience. But I would like to see more control, more friction, and more texture. If you're gonna go in like this, you should go all in, because I still feel like this is not enough to like put, like, I feel like someone else could come in and make a control glass mouse pad and it would make this thing obsolete. So if they make another version of this, I would like to see more. I don't want them to be like stay in the middle ground of still, if you like speed mouse pads, you can get this. I want them to go all in, because I feel like that would be super nice, because you have on one end Sky pads and then on the other end you have this. And that would make it a default recommendation, because some people just don't like the maintenance of a cloth mouse pad. So if you had a quite slow one, which this does satisfy it in the market right now for glass mouse pads, but overall it is obviously not a slow mouse pad. So if they made this more friction, more texture, I really feel like this could be a default recommendation for slow glass mouse pads, obviously. But that's one thing. The other thing, bigger sizes, which I'm sure they'll do, and more colors, which I'm sure they'll do. And as I said, it's tempered glass, and the logo here, it's fine. You're not gonna scratch it off. It's on there. There's no worries about that. The quality of this mouse pad is great. There's no problems with it at all. It does sit on your desk. It doesn't sit above, and there's no bowing in the middle on some Sky pads. So yeah. What do I prefer? I mean, my experience was better with this than it was my SkyPad, but I'm not really going to compare them because I don't have them. Overall, if I was looking at a glass mouse pad, I would still buy this. It is $65, much lower than other glass mouse pads. and I did really, really, really like my experience with this. So I would say that this is a buy, 100%. If you want to try something like this out, go buy it. But that's the end of this video. Peace.